The purpose of this presentation is to examine in detail the reasonable grounds or cause to feel, think, or do something of the American Revolution and show the impact of biased or misleading nature used to promote and motivating rebellion. What was going on in the colonies was that England's government paid little attention to them, so they rebelled against them. The first one is the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening pressed colonists to question traditional religious authority. The Enlightenment. Enlightenment leaders urged people to question accepted political authority. Colonies began to grow and expand westward. By the 1750s, British colonists were moving into areas also claimed by France. The rising tensions soon led to war. The French and Indian War had been long and costly. Fighting it had left Britain in debt. In 1765, Parliament passed the Stamp Act. The law required that the colonists buy and place stamps on as many kinds of documents. The Townshend Acts were a series of acts passed, beginning in 1767, by the Parliament of Great Britain relating to the Britain colonies in North America. The acts are named after Charles Townshend. The Tea Act was the final straw in a series of unpopular policies and taxes imposed by Britain on her American colonies. The policy ignited a powder keg of opposition and resentment among American colonists and was the catalyst of the Boston Tea Party. The Quartering Act is a name given to a minimum of 2 acts of British Parliament. In the 18th century, Parliament enacted them to order local governments of the American colonies to provide the British soldiers with any accommodations or housing. An action taken by the colonists to protest British action is the American Revolution, which was for the independence of the colonies. Propaganda is information used to mislead people. One example is the Boston Massacre, when they turned something small into something big. The Redcoats were accused of murder. To represent them was John Adams. Him and the misleading representation by Paul Revere could have been a sort of propaganda. Each segment of the snake represents each colony, and the order of the segments illustrates each rank from highest to lowest. The entire snake represents all the American colonies. The caption means that they need to unite to be stronger and not perish. Propaganda is information used to mislead people. The Boston Massacre was a street fight that was misunderstood because the leader told them to hold their fire, but one of the redcoats didn't hear right, so he shot, making the others think they should shoot too. This was a milestone on the road to American independence, being the first influence in forming an outspoken anti-British public opinion. A boycott is a punishment or protest. In the background, we see that they are bringing in tea, which is on the ships, and the colonists are dumping it into the water. And the people who are being tarred and feathered are the tax collectors, and they are being poured tea into their mouths as well. The people who are doing this are the colonists or people mad at the new laws and taxes. The Liberty Tree was a famous elm tree that stood in Boston. They wanted liberty from Britain. All these actions, including the upside down Stamp Act sign, are all part of the protest or boycott.